So good evening, everyone. I'm Tracy Diamond, the Adult Services Coordinator at the Enoch Pratt Free Library. And before we begin tonight's program, we recognize and acknowledge we are currently on the traditional lands of the Piscataway people who have stewarded it through generations. To make this a more meaningful practice, if you live in this region, we respectfully ask you to consider learning more about the Piscataway Conoy tribe, the people where the rivers blend. When talking about community, we must also acknowledge that every community owes its existence and vitality to generations who contributed their energy to making the history that led to this moment. Join us in honoring and acknowledging the original inhabitants of the land we are on, as well as the enslaved people who built the country and structures that make up our modern North American landscape. We pay respect to the past and present. As we serve the community, I hope all of you will help the Pratt spread the news that we've reopened our doors for limited browsing and computer access. So that started on March 8th. And of course, the safety of everyone, staff, and customers is a high priority. So it'll look a little different when you enter, but we're so honored to have you back through our doors. Some Zoom logistics. Please post your questions in the chat, and also your admiration for the videos that you're about to see tonight. And if you are on Facebook, please post in the comments. We'll be having a Q&A with the curators and all of the creators at the end of the program. So now, on the eve of the CityLit Festival finale, it's my pleasure to welcome the creative visionary that is the Executive Director of CityLit Project, Carla Dupre.
Thank you. Good evening, good people. This has been some kind of festival. We've had amazing truth-telling sessions with poets and writers who shared from the heart but spoke from the gut. In a time of so many challenges, we've offered a reason and a way to keep writing, keep poeting, and keep being a poet of witness and not expertise, as Terrence Hayes said. To remember who and what we came from, Nikki Finney so powerfully reminded us. Thank you for joining us on this virtual journey these last few weeks. You can't tell us there can't be moments on Zoom that catch your breath, that move you to speak out loud what has been silenced and buried for so long. These past weeks, we heard from you from as far away as New Zealand, Brazil, and Singapore. We had a masterclass that had people filling my inbox to get the class notes from a celebrated author who did a rare and special masterclass for Baltimore. The thing is, if he didn't know beforehand how lit our literary community was, he sure learned how big a force we could be, didn't he? And tonight, shortly after we openly grieve with poets who took us there during our grief workshop, we get to celebrate poetry in a different way with 11 Baltimore creatives who will make you reckon with the gifts we have in this city. When a poet named Nate and Nia June visited us at several events at the last public CityLit stage in 2019, which seems so long ago, y'all. We were honored to have poets Dominique Christina and Kadwadi Fidel burn the stage spitting poetry that dredged up past and present histories. After surviving 2020, we turned to these two poets, a poet named Nate and Nia June, to see what they could bring us for the CityLit Festival Reimagined. How could they create a spirit of the times through a poem? Do you know what happens when you place possibility in a young poet's hands and ask them what they need? Somewhere in the reflection is what happens. Calling poets and filmmakers and folks with a vision and a voice is what happens. And here we are with 11 creatives who grace this platform with their works. Some will debut their art here, but make no mistake, most of these poets, artists, work in more than one discipline. Make no mistake, some of these poets have toiled over words in photography and film for years, self-made and creating, more than anything, paying attention, the things an artist must do to survive these crazy times. What I hope for them as you view their work, as you see the gift of creation, you support them. For those of you who have the platforms, you engage them and financially empower them. They are who will move us through these times. They are who will give us hope and set us free. And to you, the poets, filmmakers presenting today, when I had a moment to sit down and reflect on what I just saw, the first thing that came to mind was I love us. I love the way we laugh and breathe and claim ourselves. I love our simplicity and our complexities, our rage and our sorrows, and how we be. Thank you for that. As we enter this week in the wake of senseless killings and vicious beatings that rage in our Asian communities throughout this country, and as we are forced to revisit the death of George Floyd and the infamous 9 minutes and 2 seconds hangs in the balance of our judicial system, as we survived a tumultuous year that just about undid us spiritually and physically, where we sat between sorrow and our rage manifested itself in our art in isolation, we offer you these poets, this time, and their reflections through visual poetry. We sit in the space of Black joy, in our girlhood and our self-love. And even if we don't see it in the larger universe, where it's not always on full display, we know it exists. We know it's already there, been there for anyone who knew us to see. So thank you, Nia and Nate and Kirby, for your vision. Now I'm going to get out of the way and introduce three of these, or at least two of these artists who are with us today. Well, we'll watch the film they created and we'll turn it over to them for conversation afterwards, while they will introduce the remaining creatives. A Poet Named Nate is a multifaceted Black artist from Baltimore who is a poet, music producer, songwriter, creator, director, and curator. He is widely known for his poetry productions, bringing nationally ranked and amateur poets together. His productions include Midsummer Night's Poetry, Much Ado About Poetry, and co-producing Baltimore Queens of Poetry. He recently released his first short film as the creator, director, and music producer for Black Girls Country, and his first book, Anticipational Love Poems, is due out later this year. Nia June is a Baltimore native, performer, author, filmmaker, educator, and dancer, specializing in spoken word. Nia has been a featured performer at Light City, Baltimore, Artscape, and Art After Hours at the Baltimore Museum of Art. When she's not performing, she's dancing, or she's teaching dance and poetry to youth through organizations such as Do More Baltimore, Muse 360 Arts, and Sensible Women Initiative. She is published in Grub Street Literary Magazine, among other places, and with work forthcoming in several literary journals. Her debut film, A Black Girl's Country, featured in film festivals in Baltimore, DC, Houston, Texas, and Savannah, Georgia. She has been recognized by Baltimore Magazine as the best poet of Baltimore 2020. Her most recent project is a collaborative collection of poetry and photographer with local cinematographer Kirby Griffin. Their book, Paper Trails of the Undying, is an illustration of Baltimore's tenacious beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, please take a moment to settle down, lean in, and by all means, watch and listen to the work you're about to experience. All praises.
It's challenge day. I woke up this morning, my bed felt like an unk to rise from and not a cross to be nailed to my hands. Shook like Ali in retirement. I've never been in the ring, but I come from a people who are always up against the rope. I know that cops create casualties and casually get away with genocide and plot on my demise, but I'm prepared. My spirit animal is Harriet Tubman's revolver, my mind being Alamo. I'll erode for I allow foes to turn me into worm food. The maggots will starve. My mama need her son, and I'ma grow like photosynthesis. Racism ain't killed me. Hard times built me, and oppression is my side chick. Sirens sound like war cries. I run through dark alleys, heart forward, chest out from the ghettos of hell. I got the devil in my guest house. He looked like the school system, teaching me not to love myself. He looked like the white therapist trying to heal me with self-hatred. He looked like the news, giving me the blues about blacks who got chewed by the belly of the beast. Bodies on the telly from police. I am not the narrative that they tell me to believe. I got military melanin. Sitting on this martyr throne is weighing on my bone. I got a fatigued skeleton. Even my corpse is corporal. I'm not afraid to die. It's living that has me terrified, but I'm ready, hand steady. Black man must fight guns. It's challenge day. Black man must fight depression. It's challenge day. Black man must fight police. It's challenge day. Black man must fight the streets. It's challenge day. Black man must fight death. It's challenge day. Every day is challenge day. Black man must win. Black man must win. win. Black man must win. It's challenge day. I must be prepared. I mustn't be scared. I must always be ready to fight and win.
What do you know of a black girl's country? Where the faucets bleed oceans, so we bathe in God and pray to our own reflections. A black girl's country, where the sky is an indigo quilt hemmed and sewn by our grandmother's tired hands. And we talk with language in our hands and trumpets in our throats, shamelessly loud, shouting our names into an eternal echo. And we smile, and the sun bows to us. And with moonlit teeth and dimples deeper than Egyptian blood, we laugh. And every black girl's laugh is an anthem. A Nina, a Billy, a blues. A soft hum hissing, honey kissing baby hairs. Every promise is a silk scarf tying itself into a crown. And even our anger is so beautiful. In a black girl's country, an angry black girl sounds like 1,000 waterfalls rushing towards us to silence our storms, to wash our feet when we are tired from dancing. In a black girl's country, breasts and bellies and hips are kingdoms and temples and thrones, and fatherhood is fresh fruit at sunrise. Never fermented or beat, abused, mothers are becoming and born from soil, holding us up and down, opening our souls without fear. Finally, we are here. We are home. Somebody sing a black girl's song. She's been dead so long, closed in silence so long. Somebody sing a black girl's song. Sing her infinite beauty. Let her be born in a black girl's country.
I didn't know I fell asleep that fast. I was just wallowing in my sorrow. I had the keys. I had the stairs. I had the door. I heard you tiptoe across my sadness. I had you place keys on the counter. I thought I'd get up, but I was finally resting. By the time I would meet you, we'd be standing eye to eye from the waist down. I watched my insecurities follow you out the doorway. I raced back to the stairs. I laid my palms on the counter to hold hands with your fingerprints. I had the keys to freedom. And what is freedom, you ask? No fear. Freedom is no fear. No fear.
You don't know what love is till you've learned the meaning of the blues, till you've loved a love you've had to lose. You don't know what love is.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
All right, you ready?
Can't get on it. Picture.
No, it's no picture.
Oh, okay, come on.
It's just
Yeah,
recording.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Ging gong gooly 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 washa. Ging gong goo, ging gong goo. Ging gong gooly 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 washa. Ging gong goo, ging gong goo. Hey la Shayla. Hey la Shayla. Hey la ho. Hey la Shayla. Hey la Shayla. Hey la ho.
Here we go.
Shawala, 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 oompa, 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 ging gong gooly 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 washa, ging gong goo, ging gong goo, ging gong gooly 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 washa, ging gong goo, ging gong goo.
Yay! Messi!
No, good.
Now let me see.
We sit above kitchen floors, and with legs swinging, hot combs send sensations up our spine. You, my safe place. You, flesh of my flesh. Unflinching, bended head, we bow. Lowered face into the ground. Reverence to the comb that plucks pain from my scalp, but makes us women. She is making me pretty, as if the natural flow of my hair reminds her of some deep pain, too afraid to leave. She yanks and pulls me straight. This is what they call safe ground.
I remember when you were little, full of wild dreams, standing tall, 2 feet together. And in that little voice, you would command the room. I was amazed by you. Like most mothers, I made you believe in the power of fantasy. Constructing wonder was my job, and I was certain that my efforts would far exceed the ones of my mother. Loving you was the experience I desired, and with every ounce, with every breath, I promised that you would always feel that love. You grew. Whenever possibilities lived, you would find it, drag it front and center, and give it life, meaning. You were my reason. You gave wind to dry trees that in the cold found quietness. You were the sun, and I was expanding worlds to make it all happen. Tired back, weak feet, long days. Didn't mean anything. And you gave away the sun. You gave away that power. I couldn't dream for you anymore.
Why did you stop dreaming? Why did you make me your only dream? You placed the entire world on my shoulders, and that heaviness of expectation curled my back, and my view never reached higher than the steps in front of me. Muzzled, I tried to breathe. I tried to be brighter because you needed it, but it was never enough. I tried to stand taller to give you meaning. I watched you, and it bred an anger in me. I couldn't be him. I couldn't validate your existence for you, and you put that weight on me. And you never saw me. Only a hopeful second version of yourself. Wrap me in your tenderness. Wrap me in your gentleness. For just 1 second, love me, because I am your soul removed. You, mother, are my worst fear.
Why did she leave?
Nia, you create your own problems.
Why wasn't I enough?
I can't do this with you.
This is not my fault.
Does that mean it was hers?
What was it? What made me the lucky one to be scarred by what she called love?
You need to talk to her.
What's the point? I am the piece of herself she hated.
Nah.
When they ask, I say she made me strong. And I hate myself every time I speak those lies. She made me scared.
Baby, I'm here.
I stay here, steady, falling, sinking. Be my saving grace, Mother. Make me believe in you again. I am the piece of thread from the tapestry you are. I'm your daughter. Why can't you protect me? Am I your skin? Ashamed to see me as your creation? Even now, I need you.
We run. We skip, unknowing. We pretend the floor is lava and joyful. We hop from one basement block to another. We create kingdoms and universes that we exist in until the street lights flicker on. Pebbles scattered on the concrete become the dots leading us home. We find comfort in the rain and stick out our tongues as far as they can go. tasting water from the sky. We were young. We were carefree. And our mothers made us believe we were careless. Told to be small, we grew. Told to stop, we ran. What damage have we become?
Blinded by love, but now I see the way that I loved you. You just can't love me. You just can't. You just can't love me. You just don't love me. The time I spent, the time it just don't make sense. I guess it's clear to see the way that I wanted you. You just don't want me. Blinded by love, but now I see don't want me. Want blinded by love, but now I see the way that I loved you. You just can't love me. You just can't. You just can't love me. You just don't love me. The time I spent, the time it just don't make sense. I guess it's clear to see the way that I wanted you. You just don't want me. Want blinded by love, but now I see the way that I loved you. You just can't love me. You just can't. You just can't love me. You just don't love me. The time I spent.
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't never gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't never gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird?
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. No place big enough for holding all the tears you're gonna cry. 'Cause your mama's name was lonely, and your Daddy's name was Pain. And they call you Little Sorrow, 'cause you'll never love again. So why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. You ain't got no one to hold you. You ain't got no one to care.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. I think Islam hates us.
The number of hate crimes against Muslims has skyrocketed in the UK.
I just said I don't like women with my complexion. I like light-skinned women.
Black females are not attractive to me. You know, I look at them as my sissy, you know, grab them up, give them a hug.
An attack by Boko Haram militants has left more than 90 girls missing from a government secondary school at Dapchi town in Yobe.
Surveillance video shows a suspect punching, kicking, and stomping on a Muslim teenager in Brooklyn, New York.
Keep your hands where I can see them and we'll be good.
I'll get out the car for you. Get the gun off me.
Just relax and keep your hands where I can see
I'm
them.
not relaxing. You got a gun pointed at me, bro.
He walked towards the police with his hands up. When does it become a case for prosecution?
Once the white public is convinced that most of the Negro community is a criminal element, then this automatically paves the way for the police to move into the Negro community exercising Gestapo tactics, whether he is educated or whether he is dumb, whether he's a Christian or whether he's a Muslim. As long as he is black and a member of the Negro community, the white public thinks that the white policeman is justified.
Nobody wants you anywhere. So why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly.
People always say everything is going to be okay, but is it really okay? Young black people get murdered all the time, and some praying grandma always say it'll be better on the other side, but is it really?
Do black people have to die in order to experience freedom? No, we do not have to die in order to experience freedom, but that is what we see because black people are killed left and right simply because they are black and because this country was never even built for us. This country was built to keep us oppressed and we cannot expect anything less.
I feel like we free already, but like we not free enough, if that makes sense. Like we allowed what to do, but like we not allowed. We allowed to like a certain limit.
I think it's gonna take time for us to be free because freedom is educating each other on who we are and our history.
Freedom is something that can't be
given, taken. It's not something you receive from. It's not like transactional. It's something that's God given, and everyone is born with liberty. Although because of people's circumstances and situations, that may change, but I don't think that anyone should have to risk their life in order to experience some form of freedom, because that's just unethical.
Freedom looks like to me being able to go into a park and not have the police calling me because I'm doing my citizen duties and enjoying outside, but because I'm in a wealthy area and because I look the way I do, I'm not criticized. The police are not calling me. I'm not ridiculed. I'm not followed with a camera being screamed at and the person is saying I'm raping them or I'm abusing them without me even touching them.
We don't have to worry about getting shot because we're wearing hoods or we're wearing our pants too low. We don't have to worry about getting pulled over or something completely stupid that makes no sense. So, long story short, my freedom looks like either A, a world without police officers, or B, a world where we have properly trained police officers who actually care about us and they actually serve to protect everyone.
When you experience freedom, your skin color doesn't matter because everybody is together and united.
Still believe in yourself as a person, still have dreams and hopes and aspirations. I believe that you lose your freedom when you lose that hope, when you lose your dreams and your confidence. I believe that you lose your freedom when those shackles take place in your mind and in your soul. I don't believe freedom is necessarily solely tied to physical bounds and on this world. I believe that it transcends. You have to believe yourself to be free.
Freedom is the power to act, speak, or think a part of the First Amendment, which states in the U.S. Constitution, protects the freedom of speech, religions, press, assembly, and petition. In school, we're taught rights that aren't reliable in a Black person's modern-day life. In other words, Black people do not have to die in order to experience freedom. We should have received freedom from the jump. We continue to experience death in our community from police brutality, homicides, racial violence. When a part of our community dies, I don't feel any freer than I did than before they passed. To experience freedom that we deserve, we're going to have to continue to uplift one another and conquer. I am Nia Bryant.
Oh, how often do we dream to fly? No planes in sight, so we ride our dirt bikes into the sky high just to get away, in search of something way more than what we were given in our palms. Oh, how far will we go just to breathe in true freedom? To be free in mind, body, and soul, because confinement is all we have ever known. All the way down to our creations, innovations, the basis of all our foundations, but you will never know. See, we turn pain to art, trash to gold. The resilience in us will never allow us to fold, cause we built different. Can't you see the Baltimore running through our veins? Hear it flowing out our mouths? Be more, Baltimore. Y'all know exactly what we about. We never needed a speaker or translator. Y'all trying to speak for us as if you was doing us a favor. But you're so unneeded. We got real storytellers. Their words shoot without bullets, but you feel every pain. A pain that we live and see every day. So tired of this repetition, but does it always have to be this way? I heard there's another way, an escape, the other side. So the question still resides.
Oh my goodness, Mike, you made it.
Yeah, me.
All right, just waiting on a few more.
Like you in Puerto Rico here? You ain't tell nobody?
I'm saying it's all in the mind. That's where I'm at right now.
Trying to be where you at. All right.
Y'all need to drop that ASAP. I'm just saying. The unveiling of God, like I'm waiting on that.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this amazing event. All of these films were so moving and so emotional, really. It was just really impactful and heavy. So we're going to jump into the panel because I know you want to hear from the minds behind this amazing work. So just to introduce everyone, we have Black Chakra, if you want to wave, of Challenge Day, and Mike John, also of Challenge Day here. Black Chakra is a spoken word poet, award-winning nationally and internationally, and Mike John is an amazing cinematographer and director. We have Asia, who is a director behind Woman and the writer as well. This was her first film, so big shout out to her for putting it on this platform. Shoshana was the director behind New Generation Scholars' film, Is It Better on the Other Side? And she's representing her cohort. She has as many of them as you guys can see, so she's here speaking for them. And then we have Gyasi Mitchell, who was behind Submission of Selfishness. He is a young cinematographer and director, currently studying film at NYU, and is joining us today. And then we have Sierra Leone, who is a multidisciplinary artist. I mean, this woman does everything you can think of.
Yeah.
She's a poet as well, as you guys heard in her film. She did In Love with Fire. And then we have Sharayna Christmas, who did Nevermind or What Have You. She's also a multidisciplinary artist, a curator. She's amazing. She does everything as well. And she's also the founder of New Generation Scholars. And then last but not least, we have Ayana Sharif, who did Voodoo. She's an amazing director as well, a part of 6 Point Pictures. So this is our panel. So Nate, if you want to kick off our first question so the audience can hear from these beautiful people.
All right, so so it's Q&A right now. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the Q&A selection. Drop them in the chat so we can try to get all your questions answered. So anybody can just shout out, start, just pick. We're gonna go. I'm not gonna give any specific questions to anybody. So the first question is, we want to keep it simple. What is the purpose of your film?
So the vision that me and Mike John had when we did Challenge Day was I wrote a piece about the fight, the consistent fight of what it is to walk out your house and be a Black male. And he wanted to use Baltimore, the street, to tell the story. Just the visage of this Black male walking through the streets, always on guard with the hood on. There are certain parts where I say hell and the church is behind me and stuff like that, just like this constant need of protection. So I think my film is about resilience and the fight and how one man just walking through his city is a battle in itself.
Anybody can go next? Don't all jump at once. I'm gonna start calling names.
I can go.
All right, here we go.
Well, originally my film was for a school assignment. It was as you saw, a one take shot. But beyond like the actual assignment, I think the purpose of the film was really just tapping into because of, well, I'm in New York, and in New York, in Manhattan, there's a climate change clock, which is basically a countdown of when our world is kind of just running in the stage of where we can't go back and we can't fix what we have broken in terms of nature, because I think climate change is really about nature and the way we treat Mother Nature. And so that's kind of what the film was about. It was about it's called Submission of Selfishness. And I think it's very selfish of us and individualistic for people to grow up in this capitalist society. And we create industries and we find ways to seek money, and money ties into industrialization, which ties into the detriment of our climate. And so I think it was just about like taking a moment and pausing and like giving forgiveness to nature, and and admitting our wrongs. And atonement too was a big proponent of that, with just like, there's no way for us to like give reparations to our earth, or like to compensate for all the things that we've done. But like, I think just like taking a moment and like praying, and at least giving respect and like honoring and paying homage to the earth was really important for me. And so that's kind of what the purpose of the film was, just like just honoring nature and all that comes with that.
Go ahead, Sierra.
All right, yeah, I was about to say I can go. So the reason for my film, the purpose, was honestly self-expression. I like to really challenge myself to speak from my own experience, and also reflection too. So it's kind of funny that I'm here and who's all here and how we're able to reflect in my piece. But it was definitely a reflection after a long time of thinking and pondering. That's what I came up with, and that's how it felt.
Wow. That's crazy how much that ties in. Because how old is that work? When did you put that out? Sierra, real quick.
That was like more than 5 years.
Wow. So it's funny how it ties right back into where we are right now.
Everything happens for a reason.
Who wants to go next?
I can go next if nobody wants to go, because I do have a few. But just to bridge the gap, so A Black Girl's Country, just the purpose behind it was to celebrate Black women outside of celebrating them in death, or celebrating them for fulfilling a role. A lot of times we are very picky about when we choose to celebrate Black women. It's usually when it benefits somebody else. So just celebrating Black women for existing and surviving and just being amazing beings that they are.
All right. Go ahead, Shoshana. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So the purpose of Voodoo was kind of, I don't know, not the opposite of Nia June's Black Girls Country, but like, it's definitely to shed light on what Black women, and particularly Black Muslim women, go through in society, and what we carry every day, and what we have to shed every day in order to live peacefully and be successful in our lives. It's like all three of those things, being Black, being a Muslim, being a woman, you put them, they're all separate identities, and you bring them all together, and you have kind of like one of the most probably mistreated people in society, because, I mean, being Black, we all know how that is, and we know the history behind it, and the history of society, and how the world looks at us, especially being like dark skin as well, and being Muslim, we have the anti-Muslim Trump, you have all the media against Islam and trying to shove this anti-Muslim rhetoric at us all day, every day. And then on top of it, you're a woman where you get it all. You get all of it. Like, you're getting it from our society, you get it from our Black men, you get it from white people, everything. So it was basically to share what we are, like how we shed our skin through spirituality and different things like that. Not shed our skin, but like shed the burden of what other people put on us.
Got you. Go ahead, Shoshana.
So our film was in collaboration with Pratt Library's One Book Baltimore, which is why the film is inspired by D. Watkins. So I think the purpose for us was to evoke conversation, specifically about freedom. I think that we kind of, I don't know, I feel like the conversation of what does it mean to be free and the conversation of life after death needs to be had more. I think we kind of have this black and white version of what happens after death, but that's really not, like, I feel like there's so many things that go into it. And also to share our perspective as youth, I think the film really shows that, I guess it shows what black kids or black youth, what we really have to think about, the things that we have to force ourselves to conversate about. At, you know, at our age, you really shouldn't be thinking about what you're going to be like or what's going to happen to you after you die. But as black people, that's just the conversations that we have to have. So I think that's really the purpose, to evoke conversation and to share perspectives.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to D. Watkins too. He does great things for the city. Asia, you wanna go?
Sure. I think the purpose was to tell a universal story. I think I meet a lot of different women and we all share this very real story and relationship we have with our mothers. And I'm not, you know, claiming to heal those relationships. I just wanted to tell those stories. And then hopefully in telling those stories, maybe just a conversation can be had.
Sharayna, or what have you?
Or what have you. That's exactly how I talk to. Hi, everyone. So the piece that I presented is something that I had been really praying about for a few years. And Kirby actually is the cinematographer for it. And so for me, I thought about Audre Lorde's use of the erotica. I'm not sure if the viewers or the panelists are familiar with that essay and that conversation of the use of the erotica, but it is a form of revolution. It's a form of freedom, that intimacy. And so also the contradiction of being in an intimate space with someone that also contradicts the things that you love about yourself, or contradicts the feelings that you have about being a woman, being, you know, vulnerable, you know, having the safe space to be vulnerable. So it was shot in an intimate space in my home. And it was kind of a double consciousness of me thinking through, you know, what I want to feel like. You know, I feel like, especially as Black women, we create spaces that we love. And I know that, you know, there's an interview by Bell Hooks and she talks about, you know, being done with relationships or, you know, friendships that have high expectations. She talks about having things in your intimate space that love you back just as much. And so there's a double consciousness of me being in this space, but also, you know, going through the conversation in my head or the thoughts in my head about what a relationship could look like, what I want intimacy to look like, what I want my relationship with myself to look like. So there's a lot of different things that come from that visual piece. And it's just one part of a larger series called Strawberries and Gunpowder that I have been working on actually for the last 8 years. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay, we were just going to bounce right off of that. So audience members, as you know, is called Somewhere in Reflection. This is just about looking within ourselves, and many of these films describe the process of returning to the indigenous self. So what does self-discovery mean to you, and how were you able to communicate it in your films and in the work that you've done? Anybody? Sierra?
Self-discovery is sort of top priority. I'm a Gemini, and as always described, is we're like jack of all trades, and we're never in a position to have a craft, but really we're just multifaceted. So I spend most of my life, and especially in my relationships, unlearning their perception of me and creating my own redesign.
Right.
So the way that I translated that in the film was just reversing everything that I experienced. If you notice, at one part of the film, it just starts to rewind into a space where I break through. And honestly, at that moment when I was screaming off my balcony, someone told me, "Shut up." They was like, "Shut up." It was early in the morning. And I was trying to fake it at first. And then Tyrone
Coming to America moment.
Yeah, he was like, "No, you're gonna have to scream it." So I really screamed, and he was just like, "Shut up." But I just didn't care, you know. It's about liberation is self-discovery. So I want to honor my flow and stay there.
Okay. We gonna before the next person answers, I'm gonna reveal the green screen real quick. All these questions are in your email, so y'all are trying to get idea how to answer these questions. Look in your email right now. But who else wants to go next? So we can breeze through this a little bit faster.
So,
ahead,
when it comes to the idea of self-reflection, I believe that a writer should always be trying to reflect self. Even if you're writing, like even if somebody hired you to write a Superman story, I would be writing what Superman looks like through the eyes of Jacob Mayberry. It's always a reflection of self. And I think when the writer does the microcosmic work of creating a piece of art that is a reflection of self, the macrocosmic work of seeing how many people also relate to that reflection is the power of it. I don't, in our film, Mine and Mike John's, I feel like the story we're telling isn't mine alone, which is interesting because in the movie, I am alone in it. It's very much a self-reflection. However, this constant need to protect yourself, this feeling of urgency, this feeling of danger that many Black men go through, I think that is a microcosmic introspection onto anybody who's watching the film and who is living through this Black existence. So oftentimes I feel when you're reflecting on self, you're actually holding a mirror to the audience and they're seeing themselves in it. And when they don't see themselves in it, they have to ask why their reflection isn't there and what about this character? And these are all internal conversations that I feel are a necessity when it comes to viewing art and taking in art.
Yeah, to piggyback off of Chakra, like the day of, so self-reflection is, you know, first priority, but the day of, the way me and Chakra film, we do very, very on the spot type of things, right? And we were literally filming in a box. And the entire time, you know, I have my own problems and such, but I'm figuring out how to make the best out of what I have. And in those moments, I was absolutely self-reflecting. And I don't know if it came through in the film or not, but we're literally walking in a box around the neighborhood. So yeah, I just think it's interesting. That question pops up and that's how I felt when I filmed it.
Wow.
Another thing about that film that I love about Challenge Day is how vacant, like, that the streets are. Like, there are no cars, there's no, like, we see a fire truck, I think, one time, but other than that, it's literally just you alone in this world. I don't know how you guys were able to get that, like find a location like that, but I mean, it really just pushed the film further for me, it being that vacant the whole time.
Wasn't y'all on North Ave or something?
No, we were on Park Ave, around my old studio.
Okay, yeah. How y'all get
it was literally 4 a.m.
It's never that empty over there.
It's literally 4 a.m.
Who's going?
I would also like to hear from Asia, because I think that just like uncovering your childhood and the people that you come from is very important. And also learning about yourself in relationships. And I think that Woman really touches a lot on just the effects of motherhood and being in the home and adopting some of the habits and, you know, the things that you see growing up.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I think in the process of filming that, I just would hear so many stories. I think it started out as my own story and then very in everyone's story. And Yeah, I just think it was a moment for me to kind of reach back inward and figure out, like you said, like what that looked like in my own home and what that felt like. And then a lot of the women that I touch and I connect with, what that looked like for them, and then how it is now affecting us in this time and present and how we are now.
Sharayna?
So am I answering a question about self-discovery or the other one of love and so on and so forth?
The question is, what does self-discovery mean to you and how is it communicated in your film?
Okay. So, as I get older, I start to realize that I'm never just being, I'm always becoming something, or I'm becoming, or I'm evolving. And so the opportunity and just, the space to be present with myself is a moment to discover more things about myself. I would say about 2 years ago, I started writing letters to myself about things or thoughts that I speak to myself subconsciously that are not positive. And that might seem like a really heavy thing, but for a lot of Black women, and I'm speaking for myself, but from some of my peoples that I've talked to, we talk about like just some things we might not like about ourselves. It could be superficial, it could be internal, it could be our personalities, it could be the way we were raised. And so I started to really, comb through those feelings of how I felt about myself. So in the process of this particular piece of me being in my bedroom, looking at myself in the mirror, adorning myself, putting my little oils on, just different things like that. I was loving myself and I was, acknowledging myself and discovering my body, discovering myself, but I was also internally, kind of fighting against that. It may not make a lot of sense, but to me it does. And a lot of my pieces are really influenced by theater, even though I'm a dancer. People know me as a dancer, but theater is one of the most complex spaces in which you can allow for self-discovery, because you almost, like I said, the becoming piece is really important to me. And I've learned that over the years, almost through trial and error, especially like when I was in my 20s, you think that you have it and then so on and so forth. But it's like, as I become and move into different stages and iterations in my life, I'm realizing that self-discovery to me is just like theater. It's interpreted the way that you feel that you need to interpret it. It's never just a plot and an ending and a beginning and but it's always about, seeing yourself in many different ways. So yeah, I mean, the complexity of that in my work is that's what I like. It's not one thing or the other. It's never one thing or the other or what have you. So
Go ahead.
Now that you do that to me, Nate, that's going to be our thing.
Bet. Go ahead, Shoshana.
To me, self-discovery, I think it's a necessity. I think it's in, what's the word I'm looking for? Constant necessity. I think it's important to always be evolving and learning more about yourself. I think it shows in the film because even while making it, I remember editing the film and thinking, I don't know, just going over what I thought and then hearing what other people felt about freedom and stuff. It was like, wow, I thought that, I don't know, not that what am I trying to say? I thought that my perspective was, I don't know, I was kind of stuck on my perspective, but hearing what other people had to say, it was kind of like, wow, like, this is why we should always be in a constant need of evolving and have a constant want to learn more and from other people around you, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But did that make sense to y'all?
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
Yes, that's what I'm okay. Sorry, y'all. That's what I'm.
No, you're good. Shout out to Shoshana. How old are you, Shoshana?
I just turned 20 yesterday.
Like she's very brilliant. Y'all need to keep your eyes on her. Go ahead, Gyasi.
Yeah, I'm still kind of thinking because there was some intentionality in making the film, but it wasn't exactly as thought out and as there wasn't as much put into it as all the other filmmakers sitting before me. But I think for me, like self-discovery in terms of the film was just about like realizing the power of nature. And like, I think often because of modernization, we've like strayed away from our true selves and our essence and like, and we you know, we give value to things that aren't really necessarily as important. And just the idea of nature, like something that flows and it's a cycle, and it's about energy and things that can never be created or destroyed. And so I think the discovery in terms of, and like in the context of the film, um, is just about like finding yourself in things that already exist, or finding yourself and, or finding like your reflection. Like to me, like art, my self-discovery, well, in terms of the film, is just about finding yourself in nature, like wanting to be in tune with nature, wanting to be with nature, and just having that relationship. I think that's a form of self-discovery, because once you find that, it opens the door for a lot of other opportunities.
Yeah.
Everybody answer that question? Can we go on to the next one?
No.
Asia? Did you answer? Ayana?
Yeah.
All right. So hi. So with my film, like I stated in my first answer, it deals with three identities, the intersectionality of all three, and like, sorry, I can't say your name. Is it Gyasi?
Gyasi, yeah.
Gyasi. Like Gyasi said, basically, with anything that I make, it's always going to have some form of nature in it. And to me, the way that she was able to get back to her true self was to go back to nature and cleanse herself with the water that was coming from the stream, or coming from the small waterfall. And basically, that's it's kind of a reflection of how I get back to normal, and shed that all of what society has put pressure on me and things like that. Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts right now. But like, yeah, it's about all of that. And in Islam, like, we have a ritual that we do multiple times a day before we pray, and it's called wudu, which is the title of my film. It's basically to cleanse yourself before you pray and talk to God. And that's what she was doing. She was pretty much cleansing herself of all of the things that might have happened within that day, or what, like this with the song and her mom singing that song, all of those maybe self-hated ideas that she has in her mind. When she cleansed her face, she cleansed that out of her mind. If she cleansed her hands, she cleans the things that she might have done that day from her being, so it's the whole ritual that she was doing. It's basically just almost like a baptism, where you release all of that after, when she comes out of the water, so and she becomes like her true self. Her identity is not anyone else's. It's pure again,
Yeah, when Nia and I were discussing your film, and I found it, I didn't even think about the process of like cleansing yourself before you go talk to God, or whoever your deity is, or your higher source is. The cleanse also of what we go through in the world, in the society, before we even step forth to our higher source. Go ahead, Nia.
Yeah, so for our last question, because we're coming close to time, we have one from Naima, who is actually a new generation scholar. So you saw her discuss like what freedom means to her. And she asked, what is often your muse, or what sparks your creativity?
Sadly enough, the issues going on in the country, the issues going on in my city, I become a conduit for all the problems around me. And my art is often a reflection of what I was feeling at that time, whether it's the frustration or the joy or the pain. And I feel like that will always sadly be my muse. It's dark, but translating something dark to something beautiful is the only way I feel that artists create light. So it is a necessity.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I think that that's a big thing for a lot of artists, and I often ask the question, like, if we can create when we're happy, because artists pull so much just from, like you said, these dark places.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gyasi.
I was just gonna say that recently I've been drawing inspiration because of we live in this like time of crisis and there's so much going on. Like just finding moments of stillness, and then also just I've been finding inspiration in other people that are persisting and doing their thing during this time. Like when I came back home from New York to Baltimore over the fall, I just took a lot of pictures of people in my neighborhood, and for me it was like a really cathartic experience because I never felt so connected as I did before. Like I just felt I always feel in my element when I'm doing my passion, but I just felt so much more like ingrained in the soil, and I just felt so much more connected. Like even the small conversations that I had with people along the way, I was like, this is all that this inspires me. This is why I wake up, because I'm doing it for like the people in my city, like the people that I'm pretty young, but like people that are younger than me that are coming up, like I'm doing it for them. And like I just want to put my city on the map, and just there's so many stories that need to be told. And I think inspiration for me is just about people's stories, because everyone has their own story, everyone has their own experiences that need to be shared. And then also just like people just moving and being and doing, like yeah, that's what it is right now for me.
Sierra.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I draw inspiration from nature. I'm outside. I try to be outside as much as possible. I try to take walks and go on hikes and be near water. Even if I'm just at the harbor, just looking at the little crinkles, currents come by. And I also I get inspiration from my friends and what they do and what they create. So, and like just the beautiful images of Black people, Black women, Black men, children laughing, pictures, movies, music. I come from a very musical family, so yeah, I get it from any type of art, other people's art, and then I just create.
Go ahead, Mike.
Conversation. Just speaking for the sake of speaking. Like it doesn't have to be some serious topic. It could be what type of sandwich you eating, bro. Where you get the sandwich from? Tell me the story behind the sandwich. You feel me? What the drink hitting for? You know what I'm saying? Does that Sprite bike back? You feel me? Like and I discovered that at one point I had a studio and I was doing a series, and people would come, like 5 at a time. This was like before COVID, of course. And it felt like I was a preacher, my space was a church, and they had all come to congregate. And I didn't even have to say anything. I just let them sit. I just let them speak with each other, and I would just hear stuff. And like, if I sit alone by myself, then those dark thoughts that I have to, transcribe into like positive art come a lot. But if I just listen to other people, it's a different type of vibe. It's a different type of flow. It's a different type of energy. Yeah, so conversation.
Okay. Who's next? Let's knock them out real quick. Sierra, Sharayna, somebody.
My muse. I want to say observation. I'm in a lot of different spaces because I have a lot of different talents, and I pay attention to how people communicate and interact. I've been down south, and I've seen 2 old people be in the same house for years, but don't really like each other, but they're there. I've been in spaces where I've seen Black love shared and it's soft. So I just take all of those experiences together and create from my own experience.
All right. So what have you?
Can. So for me, I'd say what inspires me, one of my muses is just the truth. I am adamant in all of my work, actually, anything. I mean, Gyasi has been one of my students, Shoshana, y'all know I like getting to it. Nia works with me, but I like to get into the truth. I like to get to like, really, what is it? What am I trying to uncover? Not that it's one thing, it could be multiple things, but the truth is sincerely one of my greatest muses, along with love and what love translates to, what it looks like, whether it's needed, whether I agree or not. And so, I really try to tap into those pieces because the truth and love, just bring me to a place of spirituality. And so I see spirituality literally in everything that we do. I love, I don't know who was talking about nature. I think a couple of people were Gyasi, Ayana, but Gyasi probably heard me say this, or Shoshana, but I always say that God reminds us that we have everything we need if we just look at nature, and nature brings us the truth. Yeah. Nature brings us that honesty, and that love, right? Like when the leaves fall, they're not worried about the leaves growing, I'm not gonna get leaves next year. Yes. You know what I mean? It's just like simple things you don't think about, you know what I'm saying? And so, I really think about those things. And like I said, I have to go back to the truth and that honest piece of it. That's a real serious thing. And I'm very passionate about it as well. But yeah, I'd say that those are the things that that inspire me every day.
Asia, real quick. Go ahead, Carla, come in a second. Go ahead, Asia.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think as you all were talking, I was trying to figure out like what does inspire me the most, because I think it's one thing and then it changes in some moments. And I think for me, it's my faith. It is my relationship I have with God, I think is what inspires me the most. I think it's what gives me a space to be free. It's what gives me a space to be fearless and kind of like express all those things that I need to express in just this real way that other people can connect with. So I think my faith in God just inspires me. And when I'm feeling like, like I don't know what I need to create next, I think I'm put in line with someone, or my faith puts me in line with someone who is, is telling me like, this is what you need to create next.
And for me, before we go to Carla, I dwell on my positive thoughts and my positive actions as well, just as well as and on the same rate, I dwell on my negative actions and thoughts. And I find myself to be a reflection of, my everyday life, what I consume, whether it be from people or news or television or nature, but the city that I am, the things that's going on, I find myself being creating what I see and what I hear and what comes to me, besides, all the people that I look up to as far as artistry and stuff like that. But creativity is just a reflection, going back to the topic of this whole evening while we're here tonight, is a reflection. And, so it's somewhere in the reflection of myself. When I look at myself, you can definitely attach the art that I put out.
I'm sorry, I know we're getting on time, but I don't think we heard what inspires Shoshana.
We didn't get to Shoshana?
No.
What inspires me, I would say, is my community, my peers, my city, Black people, especially Black people. I love the way we think, the way we look, the way we move. I just love everything about us. And music, I think music plays a big portion in anything that I create. Sometimes I could listen to a song and I could see a whole idea, this whole vision in my head just from one song. So those things are like probably my biggest inspirations.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I say this?
For being a part. Go ahead, Carla.
You guys have been incredible. Your work, your gift, the way you speak about the work that you do, your influences. Honestly, I'm so proud of every single one of you. I am so honored to have you in our festival. I'm so honored to, to hear your work, to see your vision. Thank you. Thank you for being your true and authentic selves. Thank you for sharing your film with us and your words and your gifts. And I hope you keep sharing and keep creating. I hope you understand and realize there's a space for you that, you did well by us. And I just want to see you down the road doing some more work. But please, audience, we need you to fill out those evaluation forms. You don't understand, the funders need the data. They want to know the impact. They want to know who we had on this stage at this festival, what you felt about it. And this includes the panelists, you know, your experience being on here too.
Yeah.
We're learning that more and more funders are, you know, looking at impact, looking at data, but we're looking at programs and having real conversations. So that's about what we're trying to do. We're trying to have real conversations, invite artists who are really connected to communities and connected to the truth, which a lot of you spoke of. And I thank you for that. It's been a joy, and I just so appreciate all of you. Thank you, Tracy. I think Tracy wanted to say a few things too.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Before you go real quick, just so everyone knows, the film, if you missed anything or anybody wasn't able to tune in, it will be available on CityLit website. It will be available also on Nia's website and myself on my website as well. So you can click any of our 3 sites and be able to film it as well. Go ahead, Tracy. Thank you.
I guarantee you want to. I guarantee you. But Tracy, you want to say a few things?
Yeah, and I mean, you'll definitely want to keep watching it and sharing it with other people. I mean, you all are putting Baltimore on the map. You have put Baltimore on the map with the work you've done. I've seen a lot of you, like Nia and Black Chakra, like performing before, and then Shoshana, to have you here and your piece part of One Book Baltimore. I mean, this was just such an incredible way to close out the festival and really bring truth and love. So on behalf of the Pratt Library, just thank you all so much for sharing your work with us tonight and spending your evening with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pratt. Thank you, CityLit. Thank you all guys for being here. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Yeah, it's been great.
Thank y'all so much. This was amazing.
And check out our website. We'll have more information about each of these artists down the road. Please like CityLit on Facebook, follow us on our newsletter. We're small but fierce, and we hope to do a lot more programming like this for you and because of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carla. We love your work.
Thank you. You guys are my heart.
All right. See you guys later.
And
Thank you.
keep
Thank you.
safe.
Peace.
Good night.
Peace.